Hello and welcome to the debate. I'm your host, Maqbool, with you at PTV World. In today's show, we're going to be taking a look at the election campaigns that have been going on in the country and will be ending at midnight tonight, with, of course, the elections happening on the 8th of February. Just a day is left to the elections, and the political parties, of course, have been given a period of rest before the elections, 48 hours prior to the elections. The campaigns of all political parties will come to an end, and that is going to be starting from midnight tonight. We also know, of course, that the ECP has issued notifications with regards to anyone violating this particular order, and of course with imprisonment of up to 2 years also being part of the penalty that exists for any candidate who does violate this. At the same time, of course, we're going to be taking a look at what this means now for the political parties, especially given the fact that many of them have been putting forward their manifestos, their promises, their public rallies, and talking to the public about the various stances that they have, especially in terms of the political domains and the plans that lie ahead. So we're going to be taking a look at all of this and try to understand how successful the political parties have been so far in putting across their message and in making sure that the kind of support that they want from the public in different parts of the country, they've been able to garner that. At the same time, we're also going to be taking a look at whether or not the public has actually gone through the manifestos and how effective they have been. What exactly is going to be the follow-up to the big promises that the parties are making, and which party is best prepared to deal with that, and whether or not plans have been put in place to deal with the challenges that lie after the elections. We're also going to be taking a look at the preparations that are underway by the ECP to ensure free, fair and transparent elections. In this regard, of course, the EMS is something which is very important, especially something that was that has raised concerns previously as well and has raised questions now as well. But the ECP has reassured once again that it's working fine. It's going to be on a network which is safe and secure, and that all the ROs have been fully prepared with regards to this, and their phones have also been whitelisted. So it's going to be a secure system, and they have follow-up plans as well. So we're going to be taking a closer look at what this means, and also in terms of what has been planned for the media coverage. There is an app that also has been launched for the media observers, both national and international, to facilitate the flow of information, to facilitate election coverage, and to also take a look at the different complaints arising from various polling stations. So we're going to be taking a look at all of this in the segment today and try and understand what is going on just about 48 hours before the elections. For this and more, as always, in the studios, I've been joined by senior analyst Farrukh Pitafi and Raja Faisal, and we've also been joined online by Dr. Zubair Iqbal, who's a political analyst, and Barrister Safi, Ghauri, who's a legal expert and political analyst. Thank you very much, gentlemen, for joining us and being a part of the discussion. And I'm going to start with you, Farrukh, given what has been going on for quite some time now. And we've been, of course, talking about the elections, and now it's just about 48 hours left. And the campaigns are going to be ending tonight. How well do you think the political parties have been able to do with regards to their campaigns, and which political party has been able to garner the kind of support that they were hoping for?
Right, Sana, thank you very much. I think there are political campaigns and then there are political campaigns. For example, one political party actually announced today in an advertisement that their prime ministerial candidate has already been chosen. I'm talking about PMLN. If you have read today's papers, the front page, full page advertisement actually said so. But regarding the overall messaging and ability to communicate, I think whichever party had more money, managed to actually convey the message well. PMLN was most effective in that regard because they initially, before they came up with a manifesto, they first, surveyed which candidates are best suited for any constituency. And then they actually awarded the tickets, and after that, they started focusing on messaging. And you have seen the advertisements running day and night on television. The second political party which has been very effective, and this is something that I have to actually consider, a kind of thought experiment as well, is People's Party. People's Party, of course, has to contend with many interesting claims on television. For example, every day pundits would sit on television and tell you that People's Party is nowhere in Punjab, right? And of course, that is one of the reasons, contributing factors why People's Party was wiped out of the province. But People's Party's young leader has been actually really burning his midnight oil, and he has been very effective communicator, right? Every time he took to stage, we saw that he was there for quite some time, and he conveyed the entirety of his platform, his manifesto. So that is something great. Now, my question is, and why the thought experiment, whether anybody was listening. If people are listening or they are ready to listen, then of course any kind of messaging has an effect. But if you have put fingers in your ears and start saying la 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 la, then whatever is said is lost on you. So I want to see this as a test of Pakistan's polity, whether effective rational communication has some kind of leeway with the people or not. And my own experience, by the way, in 2008, 2013, 2018, I committed one mistake, and that was I would always announce which party I'm going to vote, then I would vote for them, and then for 5 years I would be booked bravely defending them, right? Despite all odds. Now this time, because I said I'm not going to vote, I'm going to study what exactly happens. Now PTI's communication has taken a back seat, but they are using alternative routes like social media and everything else. Apart from that, Jamaat-e-Islami has done a lot, and then MKM also is actually managed to hold one Jalsa. So I think that all political parties have actually contributed to the election campaign. But if you talk about resources, messaging, and perhaps also this impression that they're winning, it is PMLN.
Okay, and Faisal, I'll ask the same question to you, but add to that what Farrukh has raised, especially in terms of whether or not these messages are being heard and given the kind of rational thought that they need. I want to understand whether or not, when we take a look at the political rallies and we take a look at public gatherings by different parties, of course the party workers are there, but I want to know whether any of this is also resulting in winning new voters and new support from the public. Are there people who are getting swayed by what is being said by political parties, and they're changing and making decisions according to what is being said?
Superb question, Sana, and I, disagree with this notion that few of the new voters would be obviously getting attracted towards the conventional and traditional parties of our political rainbow. And what I am seeing is that
what is a traditional party?
Traditional, I mean, in our political system, there are traditional politics, I would say, People's Party and PMLN.
Okay.
And what they have...
How old a political party has to be traditional?
I'll calculate it down and later on I'll tell you.
No, but you because you use the term, qualify that.
First of all, I'll just qualify my answer. Sana, the problem here is that the political parties we have been obviously seeing for years and years, they have a political history behind them, and of course their performances as well, political performances, the way they were getting into governments and whatever they have been doing in past. Of course they have been highlighting certain issues which or certain aspects of their politics in these rallies, and of course we could see that people were coming to them rallies, especially I would agree with Farrukh when he says about People's Party and especially about Bilawal Bhutto. There was one clarity from People's Party, and that was that who is going to be their Prime Minister candidate, and that was Bilawal Bhutto.
I didn't say that.
You're
agreeing with yourself, not
I am agreeing with myself, okay. One clarity, I'm agreeing with myself, one clarity they had was obviously related to Prime Minister's candidate, and their Prime Minister candidate was obviously Bilawal Bhutto, and there is I think it's a good aspect of People's Party that they have given that clarity to people at large, whereas if we see the other party PMLN, they have been they had several candidates, and so all of the names were being echoed around that she can be Prime Minister and he can be Prime Minister, and right at the end of course we saw that all of the newspapers they were showing their whole front page with the only one name, and that was related to obviously Mia Mohammad Nawaz Sharif. Now they have the clarity that who is going to be the Prime Minister if PMLN is coming into power. Now coming to the campaign, what do we do when we do a campaign? During a campaign, political parties, the only mission they have is to take their message to the grassroots level, to every voter, and that can be through rallies, that can be through door-to-door campaigns. And in today's world, when we know that social media is playing a pivotal role, and it is not only about the youth I'm talking about, even the elderly, they have a mobile phone and they have a TV, almost a TV in their hand, and they are connected with throughout the world. And day and night they were getting messages, day and night getting messages. And even in my constituency, I very well know that there are several WhatsApp groups that are related to certain parties and massively being followed by people of the constituency. So to me, the message by the third party, PTI, it has been delivered to almost throughout the constituencies, and their candidates, they have been obviously utilizing the aspect of social media, the aspect of technology, which is considered sort of
but other parties haven't done that.
They have tried to do it, they have done that, and to some extent, of course, they have utilized all of these modes as well. But on social media, how many people are following you, what is the mechanism, and how the message should be delivered, and what kind of hashtags are being used. We know that it is being widely accepted that PTI has a sort of IT experts who are voluntarily helping out PTI and its candidates. So it has been phenomenal when it comes to they utilizing the different tech tools for these elections, and I think they have been quite successful in that aspect as well, that they have been reaching out to the voters at large.
Now you have qualified your answer. Can you give me my answer as well? Which party has to be how old so that it can qualify as a traditional party?
One of the parties needs to be 35-year-old and one of the parties needs to be more than 40-year-old.
So 28 is not okay?
Not okay at all.
Okay, so there's an inherent bias here. You're declaring one party young,
Farrukh,
others are old.
Not, when I say traditional parties, that I meant that the parties who were obviously competing each other during 90s, and they were coming into power. One was coming and the other was going out.
90s sounds like an arbitrary choice. Why not 2000s? Why not 2010s? Why not 2020s?
Because in 90s we saw that both of the parties, they were of course competing each other, and they were not letting each other complete their tenure, and that is why I utilized that.
They were not actually doing that. No one was removed through vote of no confidence. It was actually third forces which actually removed them.
Okay.
Whatever the way it was, Farrukh, there were only two parties, and why I qualify them to be the traditional parties, because they have always been obviously competing each other in the past, and they have a history of fighting each other. The third party, I don't qualify it as a traditional party because they only had one government, and that was the previous government 2018.
Two governments, Khyber Pakhtunkhwa twice.
Okay, sorry, I was wronged.
All right, let us also welcome in the debate our guests who have joined us online, Dr. Zubair Iqbal and Dr. Safi Ghauri. They have joined us online. Thank you very much, gentlemen, for being part of the discussion. And let me start with you, Dr. Zubair. With what is going on, of course, in terms of the election campaigns ending at midnight tonight, I want to understand how well do you think political parties have performed? We are taking a look at their different campaigns and what the public has, what public rallies have happened and how things have been going on. Let's take a look in your perspective how well different parties have performed. I'll start with you, Dr. Zubair.
Well, thank you very much, Sana. I hope you can hear me.
Yes,
I'm missing this debate that is going on in the studio, so I wish I could have been there. But coming back to your question,
you're part of it. You can join in.
We must have a look at things from two different perspectives. One is, of course, the message, and the other is how the message is being communicated, like the media. So if you look at the message of different parties, there are clear distinctions. If you look at the Pakistan People's Party's message, they are more targeting towards one thing of the PMLN age factor, that they have taken 4 terms or 3 terms here and there, and they are aging. There must be some new leadership must be emerging, and he has presented himself as the candidate for the prime ministership. The second side is, of course, the PMLN, and they are thumping their chests about their past performances that they had during the 2013 and 2018 tenure. On the other hand, the other parties like the Jamaat-e-Islami or Jamiat Ulama-Islam, they are on the sidelines, they are peripherals. MTM is in Karachi only. So these are the 2 leading parties. The third party, Pakistan Tehreek-e-Insaf, although it is not coming on the traditional media, it is very active and very effective on the social media. And they are saying the same thing that PMLN used to say before the 2018 election, that we have been wronged and we must be given a fair chance, or as they call, now it has become a cliche, that the level playing field. Now look at the message that they are communicating, how they are communicating it. Of course, one is the traditional media. The traditional media is ripe and hype with bombardment of advertisement from both PMLN and of course the Pakistan People's Party. And this is a show of money, a lot of money that is being thrown into the parlay. On the other hand, if you look at the jalsas or the gatherings of PMLN and Pakistan People's Party, and they are gathering huge numbers, even in the cold weathers of January and February, even in Sawat and Shangla, the PMLN, and even in Punjab and Pakistan People's Party chairpersons, all these audiences were huge. But the point here is what we are looking at. Are we looking at something that is more important towards growth, towards the public sentiment, towards the youth which is clamoring for something new or something towards the development? One key factor in the messages of both these parties, or maybe from the Pakistan Tehreek-e-Insaf also, that nobody is talking about the real issues. The real issues are on ground. I am a humble student of governance, and I say that
But Dr. Zubair, who's asking about the real issues as well? Is there demand to actually hear the political parties speak about these issues?
No, that's what I'm trying to say. The real issues are, almost all of them are local. People are facing problems related to health, to education, to sanitation, to storage, to road infrastructure, to revenue, to police, to mishandling of the affairs of their personal matters. Nobody is talking about the local government. What kind of local government we are going to have? Unfortunately, PTA government previously, when they started their campaign, they were the great champions of the local government, but they didn't do anything, despite having a lot of lip service. Same is the case with Pakistan People's Party. Although they have won the local government elections in Sindh, Karachi, and Hyderabad, and they have got their mayors also. But nowhere, nobody is talking about the local government. And now the PMLN, they are also loud and clear from the rooftops are saying that we are going to bring about the change. Through whom? This governance structure that is being run largely on the bureaucracy, and we know the situation of the bureaucracy, how inefficient it has been in the last 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 decades. There's no governance structure at the grassroots level. And unfortunately, not even in the media, in the social media, in the traditional media, in the electronic media, nobody's talking about this subject. Well, if PMLN or Pakistan People's Party comes into the government and they want to deliver, where is the structure at the ground level? They are going to ask these bureaucrats who are working in the districts or the tehsils or the towns or in the provinces to deliver this thing. This one thing must have been brought about by the media and also to the people, that this thing is of paramount importance. Whatever the government comes in, whosoever the party going to take the lead, if the governance structure is in shambles, we cannot deliver, we cannot expect all the goals that have been set by these parties.
Absolutely, Dr. Saab. I'm glad that you're talking about local government, which is very close to my heart as well, and I'm sure that anybody who is worried about governance structure must be worried about local governments. But here's a question. Every political party that comes to power actually, even if it tries to go for some measure of local bodies, it fails. Usually dictators have managed to actually install local governments, but they go away when the dictators go away. Is it not true that none of the political party has the kind of political muscle to make a bureaucracy accountable in a sense that local government can actually become realistic? And that's why when dictators come with their power, then they usually install such a system, and then bureaucracy actually dismantles it.
Yes, you are absolutely right. And now we are not talking about the autocrats or the martial administrators. We are talking about the true Democrats. And the true democracy is always at the local level. This is the delegation of power we need. We have the so-called 18th Amendment. The powers have been delegated to the provinces. But unfortunately, from the provinces to the villages, to the cities and the districts, it has not been delegated. This is the real core problem that we are facing at the moment. If you think that these political parties who are going to take over the reins and they do not have anything on their plate about the local governance structure, I'm sorry, we are again in the thick soup, whether it's PMLN, PTI or PPP, whosoever comes it is. It needs courage. It needs power within. It needs about the interest of the people to go down and to delegate. It is the shedding of your own powers and telling the people that we care about you. We cannot run the country from Islamabad, Lahore, Karachi, Peshawar or Quetta. You have to go down to Sanghar, to Mianwali, to Chishavatni, to maybe Karak, so that the real problems of the people have been solved. You have seen a lot of surveys going on TV. They are talking about that we do not have sewerage, our streets are broken, we do not have water, our education is in disarray, we do not have health facilities. Come on, what are these problems? These are all local problems. You cannot solve them, barring few at the provincial or the federal level.
Exactly. Dr. Zubair, we have been obviously listening to all of these political rallies and of course political speeches as well from all sides. Everyone was obviously talking about the challenges which are being faced in terms of Pakistan's economic stability in the coming years. But have you seen anyone giving any sort of solutions to them problems, especially when it comes to they saying that we have to obviously bring the FDIs and Pakistan needs investment? Have they been talking about where do they get these investments from?
Yes, you are absolutely right. These all incomes have to come through the generation, through the economy, through the value, through the knowledge that we have to have. We must have the educational system. We must have the skill-based education. We must give a new bath to our higher education system. We must find some IT-based industry and an ecosystem to give jobs to our students. But we are talking about we will do this, and some political mudslinging is going on. We will have this much of a growth, this much of the employments. But how? Your point is very real. These are the things which are absolutely missing from the national discussion in the Pakistani public political media discourse. Somebody has to ask them. Somebody has to pull those strings. But come on, talk about the real issues.
Absolutely. And let me also welcome in the debate Barrister Safi Ghauri. Thank you, Safi, for waiting. We're going to be, of course, talking about other issues, but I also want to talk about the issues with regards to how political parties have performed, because initially we've been talking about the campaigns that have been running and, of course, how different political parties have had a chance to put forward their message and, of course, the manifestos themselves as well that were put out. And so I want, in your opinion, what has been the most successful party in putting that forward and in making that happen. Safi, are you with us? I think unfortunately we might have lost contact, but Zubair Sab, we'll come back to Safi's opinion, but let me also follow up on what you've earlier talked about. Farrukh, the part when we talk about the economy is an important one, and of course a lot of what we're discussing right now is about election day and the campaigns that have happened so far. But there's so much that is going to happen afterwards, and that's, of course, going to be the real challenge. And, of course, economy is one part of it. There are other issues that any new government is going to be taking in. Has any party prepared well enough for this?
Right, Sana, and that is a very good question. We have been listening to many promises, and the biggest problem with all those promises is that they tell you where they are going to spend the money. How are they going to earn that money is the biggest question, right? And it seems yesterday, daytime television, I was mentioning this to one of the guests, that it looks like all political parties have actually outsourced the job of bringing in FDI, or for that matter any kind of money, to SIFC. And after that they are just talking about money is coming, so we are going to spend it like this or that. Biggest problem that was highlighted by Dr. Ghauri actually really needs your attention. Pakistan, if it wants to be a democracy, B, an independent country. In 1947, we said that we got rid of colonial rule. But in the end, what you have at the local level is a colonial rule. A provincial government sits in Lahore, Karachi, Peshawar or Quetta, and then they delegate powers to unelected representatives of the government, not of the people. And they go, those DCOs, those DPOs actually go and exercise whatever power is exercised in the name of the external power. And because of that, economic engines cannot be created there at the grassroots level, because you are not planning at the grassroots level. If I am electing somebody, Sana, and I want that person to actually sit in Lahore, Karachi, elsewhere, or Islamabad, and I live in Toba Tek Singh, right? If something breaks in my life, am I going to travel to Karachi or Islamabad or Quetta or wherever, Lahore? Or am I going to go to the local representative who is sitting there? Our bureaucracy is, taught a lesson. It is coming from, colonial times, and that is arm distance theory or something of that sort, right? That anybody, a commoner, when he comes to your office, make him as uncomfortable and unwelcome as possible. You sit, they stand. If they sit, their chairs are uncomfortable. So this is the colonial mindset that hasn't gone away. If you're not going to reform it, then how are you going to ask people at the local level to contribute to taxes and then be part of an economic activity which is not extractive, right? So this is the biggest problem. If you want to bring money from abroad, you need better governance. How do you get it? Reform the local system. How do you do that? Local government. And unfortunately, all parties have written in their manifestos that they are going to actually do something about local governments. But then I look at the record. Every party has tried to actively dismantle it, with the exception of MGM, which is a direct beneficiary because that is their modus operandi, because they do it according to that. Now, when you talk about economic activity, IT is being mentioned repeatedly, and I agree that IT has a lot of potential. But then you have to redo your entire academic environment, because your universities, and this is our federal IT minister talking, right? And he says that the quality of your university is not, it is subpar. And then they have to actually go and test people again. With that kind of situation, you can think that how exactly are we going to invest in IT, because IT is not merely computers.
Right.
It is people. Without people who are qualified, you cannot actually run those computers, right? So all these issues will materialize. But unfortunately, in election campaign, after repeated demands, all they have told us is how they are going to spend your money.
Right. Barrister Safi, I hope you can hear us this time around.
I can hear you perfectly well, thank you.
Great. Thank you very much for waiting, and thank you for joining us in the debate. And I'll start with the first question, then you can come and join us in the discussion with regards to what lies post-elections. But I want to know first, in your opinion, how successful parties have been in putting forward their agendas to their campaigns, and which party has successfully been able to actually put forward their message and actually have it well received in terms of the kind of support they're garnering, particularly in places where they haven't traditionally had a stronghold.
Thank you, Sana. So, Sana, right off the cuff, I can only talk about what my personal experience is. I would categorize myself as the youth of Pakistan, and I would like to believe that I have been targeted by each and every party, and to a degree. I've had people come in for door-to-door campaigns. I've had a host of people calling me, trying to convince me to vote for them. Also because I'm a lawyer, so people try to reach out to us from a separate angle as well. And you can see very clearly that this time around, a lot of the candidates seem to be lawyers from all across the parties, but mostly PTI. And one more aspect that I would talk about myself is that because I'm young and I use the internet a lot, we see a lot of messaging online. Now, as far as agendas are concerned, I am sorry to say that I have not seen a single party talk about the political and the economic and the policy agendas that they have spoken about in their manifestos. I was watching Nawaz Sharif Saab's speech today. Once again, hardly any mention of any policy changes, just constant talks about building motorways to a degree, and then a lot of talk about how he's Pakistan's best choice and how he cares about the economy, but nothing substantial. People's Party has come up with a wish list of items that it wants to do, once again, but just talks about how it's bringing in a new thought, once again, without any rationale as to how it wants to do so. And the worst of all, by a margin, is PTI. I have been flooded with PTI messages. In fact, I invite anyone to just go online, go on YouTube, put on a cooking video, put on a song, put on something that is completely irrelevant to the party manifesto, and then suddenly, in between your YouTube video, you will be stopped with an image of Imran Khan saying, Pakistanio, it's time to break the chains. And then he goes on and harps on about how he has been victimized and how now it's time to break the chains. But the reality is that everybody is self-victimizing. Everybody is talking about how they have suffered as individuals, how they have gone to jail, and now how, with their own personal experience of having gone to jail, they are now going to come out and reform Pakistan. Not one of them is talking sense in the sense that none of them are mentioning any scientific basis of how they will implement clear policy changes. And that's missing.
But Barrister Safi, this brings me to the other question with regards to manifestos and the policy changes that you're talking about. Does this mean that this is redundant to the general public or the voter base, that this is not something which is being read or understood, and that parties don't have that incentive to actually put this in the campaign?
And will you allow me to add to this question that while you mentioned PTI and PMLN, I hope that you kept on listening to, Bilawal Bhutto Zardari's speeches, who was particularly addressing his own manifesto, no?
So once again, like I said, I did mention that he did talk about his so-called manifesto, which is not a manifesto, it's a wish list. When I talk about a manifesto, I would like to see a clear roadmap of how something is to be done, not just what is to be done. So yes, of course, we want to double our salaries. Yes, of course, we want free education. How? For a cash-strapped Pakistan, is that even possible? What will you do that will make the economic change in Pakistan so much so that you will be able to implement these changes? So I don't look at it as a manifesto. I just look at it as a wish list. And once again, regarding Sana's question, Sana, I don't think Pakistanis really care as much about these individuals as these individuals would like to believe. Pakistanis are way more interested in their day-to-day affairs. They are worried about how they will be living their lives, what kind of employment opportunities they will have, who will be feeding their families, what's going to happen to the electricity bills that they're paying and the gas bills that they're paying, how are these matters going to be addressed. Since nobody's talking about them, and the reason why, Sana, I'll tell you why. I think this is my personal opinion, but I think because all of these politicians seem to be egomaniacs who are surrounded then by their cabinet of ego worshippers. And these ego worshippers keep feeding into this egomania, telling them that all the people want is to see your face. All the people want is to hear your story of how you have suffered and how you are the real hero who's going to come through and be the Messiah who's going to save all the people. That's not the case. I genuinely believe that this is not the case. But it's unfortunate. There's nothing that I can say about it. All I've seen is mudslinging on all the political parties. Everybody talks more about other political parties than they talk about their own political party, in the sense that they talk negatively about those political parties, keep talking about how they've failed.
Right.
For
So,
instance,
Barrister
right now there was a
Safi,
flood in Karachi.
can you help me understand then what you think is how is the general voter making this decision to vote? Then what is the criteria or the variables involved in a general voter of Pakistan making this decision?
Right. So I think, once again, to a large degree, from the people that I've met and the people I'm talking to, a large number of the voters are voting based on their family loyalties, as they have always voted. So that's an ongoing issue that Pakistan has to address. Electables are playing a huge role, as always. So with that out of the way, if one was to look at things a little bit more ideologically, it's people and their sympathies. Some people believe that Imran Khan represents an anti-establishment vote. Maybe they feel that the Pakistan army is to be blamed for certain things, so they want to go. And it's hatred driven. Others think that People's Party has wrecked Karachi, so then they want to go and vote for People's Party's opponents. And what I see is, I don't see positive voting, I see a negative voting pattern. I see people arguing about who the lesser evil is. In fact, I've rarely come across anyone who has given positives of any political party. All that it really boils down to every single time is, this political party has done less damage to Pakistan, therefore we should go for them. And it's a very reductive and a very unfortunate approach towards policy making and towards politics. And the politicians are to be blamed entirely for this, for the singular reason that they are not giving you an agenda. But now, Pitafi Saab talked about Bilawal, and one thing that I do respect about Bilawal is that Bilawal put forth a very serious, clear challenge to debate on policies. That was unfortunately shut down in a very absurd manner by saying, you are like our children. I don't even understand what kind of role such words and such statements have in a public debate when you're talking about something as serious as governing a country as big as Pakistan with such a massive youth bulge. But somehow these things are going on, and there's nothing that we can do about it. So that is something that I see. But I would like to add one thing here. And I heard Faisal Saab saying that PTI has a lot of IT experts. Faisal Saab, I think anybody can have these supposed IT experts. But what we are seeing is not a miracle of IT expertise. What we are seeing is just pure money that is being pumped to YouTube.com, to Google.com, to these parties. And you can see it yourself. You can see it very easily by logging on to any of these and seeing how PTI has managed to position itself as the top party online. If you are getting these messages online, it is because all political parties and all online debate takes place in these echo chambers, where you are being fed messages based on how they are being pushed from the back. So if you put in more money, you will have your face. I mean, Faisal Saab, you could be the most popular person in Pakistan if you were to invest $1 billion into pushing advertisements.
But
and that's
Safi, is that still reaching its the targeted outcome or effect?
Or is it annoying you?
I clearly said that, this is an open challenge. I don't really watch a lot of political videos. I tend to watch cooking videos more than anything else. And my YouTube algorithm is just full of cooking shows. And if I am still being bombarded with PTI messages, that clearly shows that this is being funded. I am not even interested in these messages. In fact, even if I actively go and tell YouTube that I am not interested in this kind of messages, I still get them. This means that they are being pushed. And this is not just my example. This is something that I say publicly. Anyone should go and do this experiment. Give it a shot. Try to shut those messages off and see if they are shut off. You have every right to do so, but you'll see that YouTube will keep pushing them on you. And yes, of course, the fact that such copious amounts of money is being spent on advertisement, firstly, is a matter that should be taken up by the ECP to determine if the political parties have exceeded their allowed spending, firstly. And secondly, we should see where this money is coming from. How is it that a political party is able to fund these online platforms to this degree.
Right.
One-liner.
Yes.
You know, earlier, obviously, Barrister Safi mentioned that he tends to watch, obviously, the cooking videos. I mean, when it comes to listening to songs, I'm into, obviously, I'm into, Russian songs or the Turkish songs. So my car stereo, of course, the AI in the YouTube is always pushing towards me the Russian songs or the Turkish songs. Certainly, when I got this message at the time of changing of the song, it was quite shocking for me as well. And while driving, I started looking at the screen, because normally I don't look at screen, I'm just driving. So I had to look at the screen because it just popped up. And yes, you're right, Safi, that after almost every second song it was appearing, and they have put the money on the right platform.
Speaking of songs, actually, I think one good thing that all political parties have done is come up with amazing bangers. And that's something great about this election.
That's one I will agree with, and that is
Yes.
the best thing that has come out of this election.
Absolutely. Dr. Zubair, I'd also like to take your opinion with regards to what we were earlier talking about regarding the online campaigns. And while we understand that it's being pushed and money has been injected in, why is it that one party has been able to do more of that than the other? And why is it that the kind of narrative that existed even prior to the elections with regards to PTI being the champions of social media, why has this outlasted this long and no other political parties has been able to challenge that?
Well, we may be delving into some muddy waters because there are so many conspiracy theories around it, that where is this coming from? Let the investigation agencies talk about them, investigate if there is anything fishy going on. But let me bring you back to the scenario. We are a nation of 250 million people, and these are very harrowing numbers. Many of our cities are bigger than many of the countries on the global map, like Karachi, Lahore, Faisalabad, Rawalpindi, you name it. And out of these cities, even if you look at Pakistan's education system, this recently World Bank report has come out, and they are saying around 28 million children between the age of 5 to 16 are out of school. Only the education sector, if you want to try to fix it, you need around 4.5% of your annual GDP. Where is this money going to come from? I agree with Pitafi Sahab that everybody is talking about spending of those money. They are dishing out those tall claims that I will give you a university, I will give you a motorway, I will give you a hospital. Who the hell is going to get all this money? What is going on in the industrial sector? What is going on in the IT sector? What is going on in the education sector? Who is developing that very infrastructure to get this all money from? Or you are going to have another array of begging ball from going from US to UK to UAE to Saudi Arabia and many other countries. We must start talking about this thing. And unfortunately, in the whole of the media, I've been scanning different media outlets with very shiny platforms of their screens, and everybody is talking about very superficial things. The real issues are here. We have to earn money, and to earn money, we have to improve our social indicators. Unfortunately, according to the United Nations indicators, we are 156 out of 200 countries. These are very abysmal numbers. Now, I again agree with the Pitafi Sahab that who is going to do that? These bigger than countries, cities have no system of governance. They are hopelessly relying on the district management officers who get themselves transferred after 4, 6, 8, 10 months. Nobody is tenured there. So these are all hollow cranes. These are all very fishy ideals. These are all dreams that they are selling to us. And I'm sorry, we do not see any concrete thing coming out of it, whether it's a social media campaign or these campaigns here and there. And nobody is looking serious to change the fate of this nation. Everybody wants to come on the center stage and then enjoy the perks and privileges and then saying, Tata, bye-bye, we have done our job, build some things, this and that, and that's one fishy.
Absolutely understood.
Must talk about something good.
With regards to the EMS, of course, the ECP has again given its reassurance that this is going to go well and it's going to be fair and transparent. But this is something that has raised concerns previously as well. Are you at all concerned this time around?
I have absolutely no cause for concern. I think this time around, the elections are going to be absolutely free and fair. And I say this because the government has put its money where its mouth is. We are going to have a record number of foreign correspondents, election experts who are coming in, observers who are coming in from all over the world. A lot of them are coming from the EU, many from Japan, every country really. And then apart from foreign observers, we have also issued a record number of accreditation cards to local journalists for them to go and cover the elections. So if the government is so certain that the elections are going to be fair, they would not obviously be giving these kind of authorizations to foreign observers who could then go and report back on how flawed these elections were. So once again, Sana, this is something that we have been hearing from day one. The fact that elections are going to be flawed, elections are going to be rigged, there are going to be no elections at all. I mean, even now there are some people who are saying that something would happen tomorrow and the elections would not take place the day after tomorrow.
We also actually know a few people like that. But thank you very much, Barrister Safi, for joining us, and thank you, Dr. Zubair, for joining us as well in the debate and of course being part of the discussion. Farrukh, you wanted to add something?
Yeah, four things. First, EMS. Regarding EMS, whatever complaint was there was regarding data of the polling staff being deleted. That it has been proven was wrong, right? The ECP actually ran various versions, and that was proven to be a false claim. It hasn't happened like that, and I assure you that EMS is not the place where anything can go wrong. Other places might be there. Okay. Hopefully there won't be any. Regarding Google, something very interesting, YouTube, something very interesting was said. If you're tired of those ads, they have a premium service, buy that, and you will skip all the ads. Okay. The third one is regarding what Dr. Saab was saying, our governance structure. I think Robinson and Asim Maqbool have written two beautiful books, one Why Nation Fail, and the other is Narrow Corridor. I think these two books actually address all the problems your country has if you want to actually fix these problems. Fourth one, why I was trying to give hard time to Faisal. I think I annoyed him as well. I'm proud that I did. But my humble submission is that we have this bad habit of tagging people and discounting them. Giving political parties these tags will not work. If you want to listen to their message. Every party eventually becomes a traditional party. PTI was not a traditional party, but it has become a traditional party. Jamaat-e-Islami has not been that many times part of power, but it has been there since 1947, even before. So every party, if they have a good objective or message, for example, Bilawal, what frustrates me is that people automatically hate the idea of People's Party in government so much that they wouldn't listen to a good message and a good effective way of messaging as well. So this is the only thing that I had problem with. I hope that what Faisal was saying, the kind of revolution he wants to see, at least it materializes somewhere around where he lives, so that he can see something of that sort.
And Sana, talking about the traditional parties, there are only two traditional parties who are actually contesting this election, because the third one is not contesting.
All right, that's all that we have from the debate. Thank you, Farrukh, and thank you, Faisal, for joining us and being part of the discussion as always. And we'll now see you tomorrow once again, just a day to go to the elections tomorrow, and we'll have much to talk about. That's all we have from the show today. See you tomorrow.